Helen Raleigh has been working to become a United States citizen for 17 of her last 20 years in this country. So for the last 3 years, congratulations. We're thrilled to have you as a United States citizen.
Thank you, John.
Why did it take you 17 years working in the United States to go through the process? You were not here illegally, correct?
No, I came here as a student, so I came here legally.
You came here legally, or what they call a documented worker, but you were a documented student, and it took you 17 years to become a citizen. Why does it take, and you were trying to become a citizen from the beginning?
Well, there's a process you had to go through. This is why my new book is called The Broken Welcome Mat. Most Americans do not understand how difficult it is for somebody like me who wasn't born here, who doesn't have a family here, to go through a legal process to become first a legal resident, then a naturalized U.S. citizen. So I spent the last 17 years follow all the steps, which was a really narrow path available for me, and it took me this long. And you know what, John? The sad part is my experience was not an outlier. For many legal immigrants, waiting for more than a decade is very common.
To become a citizen? To
get a green card and become a citizen, yes.
Just real quickly, then why bother? Why did you want to become a citizen and willing to wait 17 years in order to become one?
Well, had I known it's going to take me this long, I probably will not. But the reason why I answered in my first book, Confucius Never Said, because I was born and raised in China, I witnessed and also heard stories happen to my great-grandparents, my grandparents, and my parents. I just wanted to live in a place where I can better my own life, determine my own destiny with my own effort. And I think this United States is the country to enable me to do that.
All right, so I want to talk a little bit about The Broken Welcome Mat, which is your new book.
Yes.
But more importantly, I want to talk about what you're trying to get out in this, which is a system, how to fix it. And given that this election season seems to be all about immigration, it seems like talking about solutions is the right thing. I asked you beforehand if you're going to be voting for Trump, who wants to keep immigration. He said, let the good guys in, keep the bad guys out. Are you voting for Trump?
No.
Why not?
Absolutely not. Because I do not agree with the solution he provided. First of all, his whole immigration policy is based on building a wall to south our border. Guess what? We also share a long border with Canada too. And another statistic which he did not mention is nearly 50% of illegal immigrants in this country are people who came here legally on temporary visas, but they came here legally but overstayed their visa. So if you build a wall between U.S. and Mexico, what about the other 50% of illegal immigrants who came here legally? We're going to do nothing about it. And it's
so in other words, people like you, people who come here, including Mexicans who come here to work, might be coming legally, but when their visa runs out, they don't go home. Is that what you're saying?
Yes, because we make it very difficult for them to travel, to extend their visa. Our entire immigration system is run on strict quotas. The current quotas were determined by 1990 immigration law, which does not reflect market demand, does not reflect employment status. It's very, very restrictive.
All right, but would you agree we have an illegal immigration problem? That we have, you were here, you had documents, you were here as a student, you tried to go through the system, you finally became a citizen, but there are a lot of people here who didn't obey the laws the way you obeyed the laws, and that we're frustrated by this and we feel something needs to happen.
I absolutely agree with you, and guess what? In our country, currently we have 40 million immigrants. Legal immigrants are the majority. We're about 30 million. Illegal immigrants are the minority, but you don't hear any discussion about the legal immigration. All we can hear is illegal immigration. For somebody like me, who has 2 masters, stable job, has been a taxpayer ever since I got here for the last 20 years, if it's going to take me 17 years to go through all the legal process, how is that going to offer incentive for somebody else who living in Mexico needs to feed a hungry family right now? So to me, the solution is not to build a wall, but we need to have 2 steps. First, we do have to strengthen our borders. It's not just for national security issue. It's also come back to the foundation of our nation. We're a republic governed by consent, right? If you choose to come here and the first thing you did is break an immigration law, basically you say, I'm not going to give you my consent. Well, what does it make 30 million legal immigrants like me?
All right, well, hang on a second. So the first step of what you're suggesting in the book is to actually enforce the current immigration laws. Am I hearing that right? Or
yes.
Does that mean build a wall? Does that
No.
not mean build a wall?
No, I don't see. I grew up in a country who had a wall for 2,000 years. It did nothing to protect China. Build a wall only kept the people in, do not keep the people from coming in. So the solution is not to build a wall, but we can do a better job through screening of our applicants, visa applicants. That's part of the border control patrol. We should enhance our border patrol. And in some areas where the popular, easy to cross, we probably could strengthen our fence, or you call it a wall.
All right, so you're not, if a wall could be built overnight, you're not actually against the idea of some sort of border enforcement to stop people from coming in illegally.
Well, I have to say,
Well, you want,
I generally just do not like the idea of war, because war is very exclusive.
Right.
It does not reflect the character of our nation as a beacon of hope for everyone who seek
right. But
freedom.
I guess what I'm saying is you concede that it's too easy to sneak into the country illegally.
It's not just that, but also you look at our current policy is, even for people who came here, our current administration's policy is a catch and release. So there's no consequence for them to come across here once they made it. To me, there's no wall can be high enough, strong enough than the human desire. If I am determined to go to the other side because that's the only way I can live, or that's the only way my family can survive, no matter how high the wall you build, people going to cross. To me, the solution is not building a wall. Again, we have to do two steps simultaneously to control illegal immigration problem.
What is that second step?
The second step is, most of those illegal immigrants are economic migrants. They just want to come here to work and then bring their income back home. So currently, to come here to work is very, very difficult. If we can borrow the lessons we learned from the Barcelo program from 1942 to 1965, which was a very successful program, we should make it easier to establish a temporary work visa to allow people who, as long as they can find employment here, to allow them easily to come here, and once their employment contract is over, they can easily go back, and then if they find another employment contract, they can easily come back. As long as we allow them to come back and forth legally, and as long as they have employment, that will reduce the incentive.
How do you know they have an employment? So what I'm hearing is, fine, they can come over, not a citizen, not a path to citizenship, they can come over and work as long as they have a job, and they can go back and forth and do that work. How do you know that they, one, have a job, and how do you know that they're not going to stay once they're here and that job is over?
Well, because we know historically, from the Barcelo program, between 1942 to 1965, over 6 million Mexicans came here, mostly doing farm work, later on expanded to railroad and construction. Many of them did not overstay. You're always going to have some small group of people will overstay, but most of them, they don't have incentive to overstay, because it's just as easy for them to go back to Mexico and come here to find another job again. Their proof is they sign an employment contract, so they get checked at the Mexicans, in the Mexico border. They get checked over there, both a physical check and also to apply for job there. Once they cross the border, they get receive the physical check here in the United States.
What do you mean physical check?
Well, so because most of them, the Barcelo workers, they are farm workers. So actually, both Mexican side and the United States will check their hand to make sure they actually have statuses on their hands, so to show they actually are labor workers, not just somebody want to sneak over the border. So again, there are things that we can control, but if we just focus on 100% control, that's not the solution. We have to do control and make employment easier for the migrant workers as well. And it's also, those are the things, it's a win-win situation. It benefits the migrant workers, benefit us, benefit our economy.
But also then the migrant worker can go back home,
yes,
knowing that if they go back home, they're not going to
yes,
have a hard time
they can easily
coming back.
come back. Yeah. We have to make sure it can easily come back.
All right, let me just talk about, again, book, the Broken Welcome Mat. I like that. Where do they get it? Amazon.com?
Amazon.com is available both in paperback and Kindle.
Terrific. Helen, thank you again for being here. Always enjoy it. Listen for me on KHOW Radio. Check out the Independence Institute at independenceinstitute.org. We'll see you next week.